Alright, so this is part 2, man, about Moon Eye. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get more in depth with it. So, okay, so these ancient civilizations, right? These ancient cultures and civilizations, they didn't go nowhere, right? Just like, for one, they say slavery was abolished. Slavery was never abolished. Slavery was just revised, rewritten. You see what I'm saying? We still slaves, bro. Slaves to our decisions. Slaves to food. Slaves to our circumstances, finances. And we gotta really look at these words, too. Because words create worlds. The tongue is a sword. See what I'm saying? So, when we breaking down Moon Eye, we're breaking down currency. Currency is a current. That's why you pay attention, right? They say you get paid. And we must understand and understand all the spells, all the spell casting and technology, right, that we say throughout the week. So we gotta understand etymology. We gotta understand the definition of the words that we choose to use within the English language, because we did not always speak with the English language. And it actually takes a whole lot of energy to speak. It takes a whole lot of energy to use words and to speak, right? When we're telepathic beings, we can speak telepathically, right? We could speak through sign language, right? Body language. What is it? 90% of all form of communication is nonverbal. All 90% of communication is nonverbal. That means we speak way more through our actions. We speak way more through our body language, because it's about what frequency. Because you could talk all day. Motherfuckers talk all day, but it ain't about what you saying, it's about what you doing. So it's about your body language. It's about what you're doing, because you can tell, you can read what a person is on just by looking at them. Literally, just how they carry themselves, just how they breathing. You know what I'm saying? Just how they moving. You know what I'm saying? Dancing is a form of communication. Now back to what I was saying though. The pyramids was built without money. The pyramids was not built by money. Now, was there another form of exchange? Yes, of course. Because human beings have always been trading with each other. So we trade different goods. We trade different resources. We trade our time, right? Go. What the fuck? God damn, what the fuck? So we trade our time, we trade our resources. You see what I'm saying? So, and this is the thing, right? This is the thing. When the world was in harmony, right? And I don't want to just blame the white man, but I mean, you see what I'm saying? But when the world was just black people, right? The original man and woman fell from grace, man. Fell from frequency, right? But back when, in the golden age, back when there wasn't division back when their whole planet was in harmony. It was harmonious. It was a kingdom of heaven. It was heaven on earth. Everything was free. Everything is still free. But we have a cap. You know what I'm saying? We are limited by the system, because this system limits our mind. Because once you had the mind, the body follows. And back to money. That's what the symbolism on your dollar bill and your money is. When you see that Kushite Nubian pyramid, you see that the capstone is missing from, and the capstone is the ben, right? But you see that the capstone is missing from the body of the pyramid, symbolic for your mind or your brain, right, is detached from your body. So once you have somebody's mind, you can control their body. Everything has to do with the mind, because that's the first law in the 7 Hermetic principles, is everything is mental. All is mental. The universe is mind. So when you have somebody, when you can control somebody's mind, you can control their whole life, right? And that is what the Merkaba is. The Merkaba, mind, spirit, body. Ba is body, Ka is spirit, and Mer is the mind. Merkaba, mind, body, soul. When the Merkaba is activated, right? When the Merkaba is activated, or the Baka-Mer, when the Merkaba is activated, you're able to travel through different dimensions. You're able to travel to different realms, right? And it's all based on modes of traveling, right? And you have the right to travel by the Most High. You were given legs. You were given the ability to walk. You were given the ability to fly. You were given the ability to swim. You was given the ability to travel, traveling on boat, traveling by aircraft, traveling by foot. You see what I'm saying? So, but what has happened is they put names and labels, right, and borders on Earth. They say, oh, this is this territory. Oh, this is that territory. Right? When it comes down to, was it Andrew Jackson, or it was Napoleon or somebody, I forget who, with the Louisiana Purchase, right? Buying up all the territory, and you see what I'm saying? So what colonization has done is colonized our minds, because they have colonized the earth, and they have said, oh, this is this place, or oh, this is this territory. When not human beings, but when gods and goddesses and original people back in the more ancient times, it was never called that. It was never lines to say, oh, this is this state, and this is. So when you're talking about a state, you're talking about a state of mind. You're talking about a state of awareness. You're talking about a state of consciousness. You're talking about different realms, right? That's why it's called an entrance. When you go into a store, it's an entrance, because you enter into a trance, and you're going into different states of consciousness, going into different plates and states and ports. Because what is a port? A port is a portal. We're going through portals. We're really going through stargates. Because this is how we used to travel, man. And they don't want us to know that. They don't want us to know that we used to travel through stargates. They don't want us to know that this whole earth, they don't want us to know that we're able, first of all, they don't want us to know, and they don't teach that the black man or the original man and woman circumnavigated the whole planet. And it wasn't hard because this planet was, because the masters of the cosmos, the masters of the universe, what is able to be everywhere and nowhere at once. You see what I'm saying? So, and they, you know, they could say African, you know, but that's a new term. You see what I'm saying? But they could say African circumnavigated the planet or whatever. At the end of the day, it was black people. It was melanated people everywhere on this whole planet, bro. And it's beyond just this planet too. You know what I'm saying? Like Earth, in my studies, man, Earth is more of an experiment. Earth is an interface. Earth is a realm, first of all. We call it Earth. See what I'm saying? So it's a mind state. We call it Earth. Oh, we on Earth. Oh, there are Mars and Neptune over there. Right? So, but either way it goes, the ancient ones, right? Where you dealing with the ancient Kemites or the ancient Mayans or Olmecs or whoever, mapped out the entire universe, right? Mapped out the entire universe, right? All of the stars, all the universe. So it's been revised, meaning the so-called white man, the YT man, has colonized, and has through colonization is divide, or is conquer and divide, division. Religion is division. So, because truthfully, we all one people at the end of the day, man. But the thing is, right, through colonization, is tribalism, and it's different, it's divide and conquer. So what has happened is the so-called white man has put his flag up and say, oh, this is America, oh, this is England, oh, this is yada yada yada, right? So through colonization and division, the white man, see, it's an ancient island or it's a rock somewhere, right? And the white man gonna come up and say, oh, I'm gonna call this this. And that puts a state of consciousness and an energy on it, right? And that's what America is. America is a state of mind, right? And we could go into, and it's not nothing new. The white man didn't never create anything, right? He just stole, it's called stolen legacy. So the white man didn't create nothing. He just revised it. He just changed it up. He just switched it up. So, and he put his flag up and say, oh, this is America. But in the white man's eyes, America is a corporation, and it's a slave plantation. And the corporation is meant to keep human beings as cattle slavery. So once you kind of know like history, not his story, but once you know like real history and know how things came about, like how the names of things and how different races and different things came about, then you'll start to understand what this realm is in this hologram. And then we'll start to understand what money really is, and what resources really is, and what the ancient ways of life really is, right? And then you'll want to be more in tune with that, right? It's nothing wrong with getting money into it because we have to. But the ancient way is the way of the ancestors, is a righteous way of living life, which is being in harmony. And the ancestors didn't see death and didn't see all these concepts as we see it today, because we know that we're spiritual beings in essence. We know that we are souls, and we know that this life is not just your life does not just stop on earth. There's more realms in it. The universe is way bigger. You gotta see a bigger picture. So get in tune with your ancestors. You'll understand that you are a spiritual being in the flesh, and then you'll be able to move as such, you know what I'm saying, in this game of life, in this test. And you'll realize that death is not the end. You will keep going on. And if you think in terms like that, then you're going to think of, okay, if I'm a spiritual being and I have a spirit and soul, what's going to happen after this lifetime? And if you really open your mind, you'll see that you're an eternal being. And then you'll be in a more meditation and a deep thought of what you're going to do with yourself, because you'll know that you'll inner grasp reincarnation, and you will start to think, okay, if I'm an eternal being, what do I have to do for eternity? Or what state of being and what state of mind, what state of energy am I going to exist at within the existence? Because you're going to realize that you an eternal being, and like, what are you going to do for eternity? Because if you think about reincarnation and you think about the life you're living, do you want to live this life over and over? Do you want to live this life or do you want to have to live a worser life than you're living right now? So that's what the ancients was about. The ancient people, which was us in a different timeline, was thinking about, okay, how are we going to exist within the future in our next lifetime? So human beings were in preparation for their next lifetime, you know what I'm saying? And ultimately their eternal existence as immortal beings. And that's what the ancients figured out. And that's what the ancients was all about, was being immortal, you know what I'm saying? So when we are talking like that, we'll realize, like, we don't want to live forever as a slave in a slave mind state, in a state of a lower vibrational consciousness. We'll want to exist on a higher plane of consciousness. You see what I'm saying? Because time is just within the third dimensional construct. When you go into the higher dimensions, time changes. Because even if you go to another planet, time is different on another planet. I think Saturn, a day on Saturn is only 10 hours. So time is relative to where you're at in the realm of existence that you're inhabiting, right? So when you're in a higher realm of existence, time is going to be a lot different. So just imagine that, and then just imagine being in the third dimensional, being in this world, or being your life on Earth. You know, a lot of people are in hell on Earth, man, and miserable on Earth, because we're ruled by Chronos, we're ruled by time, and we're slaves to fucking time, and we don't got no time for ourselves. You know, they don't want to have. Anyways, man, peace to the guys.